Today we are going to be making this card. It uses the Under the Stars stamp set, which is currently on sale, and it employs a couple of different techniques. The first is the wood graining of the background. The second is coloring in the bear using ink pads and blender pens, and then the third is using liquid applique in the place of the marshmallows. I can't really get a good angle on the marshmallows, but what we will start with first is the bear. So you are going to take your paper, Whisper White paper, and you see that the bear has some angry eyebrows, and I don't really want his angry eyebrows on there, so what I do is I take my chocolate chip ink pad and I ink it up, and then I turn it over and I just use a Q-tip to wipe away the angry eyebrows. Then I take my chocolate chip marker and I color his eyes back in because they got wiped away when I took out the angry eyebrows. Just stamp. Now you'll notice that there's still a small line of angry eyebrows there, but that's okay. Those will be covered up when we color him in. But before I color him in, I'm going to take the short end of the fine end of my chocolate chip marker and draw him some happy eyebrows. So I just drew 2 lines over the angry eyebrows, and now it will be better. So now I'm going to use my blender pens and my ink pad. I'm using Close to Cocoa and Really Rust to color him in. And it doesn't matter which end of your blender pen you use. What you're going to do is you're going to wipe it across your ink pad a couple times and then color him in. And however much you want to color him in, whatever consistency or texture, I'm leaving some white lines along the edge so it looks more watercolored. You can color him in completely if you want. It's really up to you. But you just color around his fur. And you don't need to wipe your blender pen on the pad many times in order to pick up enough color. The more you have on your blender pen at any given time, the more rubbing out you'll have to do to make sure that you get all the color off before you proceed to the next color. If you don't rub off your blender pen, you will get ink on the next ink pad that you use, and you don't really want to mix that. Okay, so now I'll do the inside. I apologize, my cat Shark just jumped in my lap and knocked it over. Sorry about that. Okay, so to continue, I'll keep coloring. I think for the next demo I will lock Shark out of the room. Okay, so I've colored in my bear, and you can barely see the angry eyebrows, and I will set him aside for now. Next I'm going to do my s'mores, and I'm going to stamp them in chocolate chip. You're going to stamp 2 of them, excuse me. Okay, and you're going to use your blender pen and color in chocolate chip for the chocolate. Okay, wipe that off. And creamy caramel for the graham cracker. Okay, and that is the end of the coloring. Now you are going to use this product called Liquid Applique. And you can find it at Joann's or Ben Franklin, places like that. It costs about $3 for the tube, and it comes out as a thick liquid. It's kind of goopy. You don't want to touch it because it'll be really sticky on your fingers, and you just want to color in the areas that are the marshmallows. You don't want to apply too thin of a layer, nor do you want to apply too thick. You just want a perfect amount, because whatever layer you have on there is how deep the puffing up will occur. And you get it to puff up by using your heat tool. So you just turn it on, and you'll notice that it starts to puff up when it's ready. You can see the subtle change on the screen. You don't want to overheat because it will burn and smell very bad. You're going to want to give this a couple seconds to dry and cool down, because otherwise it'll get your scissors all gummy when you're cutting them up. So after you've done that, set it aside. You're going to cut your bear and your s'mores out at some point, but right now we are going to work on the wood background. And the way you do that is you take a piece of more mustard paper and you start with Whisper White craft ink. It's very important to use craft ink at this point because you need a good basis of it, and it also helps cut down the color of the more mustard. Now, because I am right-handed, I tend to start in the middle and draw along, and then I flip the paper over and continue again. Now, however much ink you want to put on there is fine. You can, if you prefer to go up, down, or down, up, it's up to you. But just whatever amount of color you want on there. Now I move to the really rust, and I again start in the middle, and I just draw straight lines down using the edge of my ink pad as my guide. Now, and then I flip it over. And if I missed a line, I can go back. And if I want to do more color, if I want to try to get a more subtle color, then you just kind of rub the top of the ink pad across the surface just to fill in some of that area that I may have missed the first time. Okay? And now I use my chocolate chip ink as the final color. And again, just do subtle lines. I'm letting the ink pad do most of the work. I'm just pulling it across. Flip it over. And you can do this with whatever colors you want. It can be a craft paper, it could be caramel paper, whatever you want, however dark you want it to be. It's just so it gets that nice faux wood look. And you're eventually going to glue this to some chocolate chip paper and use your cutout bear and s'mores, and affix the s'mores with some Stampin' Dimensionals, and you have a great wood grain card. Enjoy!